Most people don't set out to destroy their own lives, but the road to ruin is paved with tiny, almost imperceptible steps. Anonymous, there's a brutal unspoken truth about married women that most men don't see. It's the truth that makes them the easiest prey, not because they're weak, not because they lack morals, but because human nature is wired for temptation. No one wakes up one day and says, "I think I'll betray everything I've built." Number, it happens in the smallest moments, the innocent conversations, the lingering glances, the way her heart beats just a little faster when she gets a text from someone who isn't her husband. Psychologists have studied this for decades. They call it the slow erosion of boundaries, one step at a time, one thought at a time, until one day she looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize the person staring back at her. So why are some married women so easy to lure in? And more importantly, how do they justify it to themselves? That's exactly what we're about to expose. Let's begin one, the unspoken void. Why some married women seek external attention. The great marriages are partnerships. It can't be a great marriage without being a partnership. Helen Myron, marriage at its best is a bond that withstands time, trials, and temptations. But not all marriages remain as strong as they once were. Some women, despite having taken vows, find themselves drawn to attention outside their marriage. And most of the time, it's not about physical attraction alone, it's psychological. And the biggest mistake people make is assuming that these women are looking for an escape in reality. Many of them are simply searching for something they lost along the way. Human beings are wired for connection. Women in particular have a deep-rooted need for emotional intimacy, not just physical presence in the beginning stages of marriage. This intimacy is strong. The late-night conversations, the stolen glances, the feeling of being seen. It's intoxicating, but over time, routine takes over. Suddenly, life becomes predictable. The deep conversations turn into logistical discussions about grocery lists and household chores. Passion gives way to duty, and worst of all, she starts to feel invisible. This is where the danger begins. Dr. John Gottman, a renowned relationship psychologist, explains that the silent killer of relationships isn't conflict. It's indifference when a woman no longer feels noticed by her husband. Her subconscious mind starts seeking validation elsewhere, sometimes without her even realizing it. People will do anything to avoid being lonely, even if it means losing themselves in the process. Mitch Albom, a simple compliment from a stranger, a conversation with a man who actually listens a moment, where she feels interesting again. And suddenly, that tiny interaction feels like oxygen after years of suffocation. Marriage comes with responsibilities, predictability, stability. But the downside of stability is that it often kills excitement in psychology. This is called the Coolidge effect, the idea that novelty is what triggers desire. People, both men and women, are drawn to the excitement of the unknown. And if a woman has been married for years, if every day looks the same, if every interaction feels rehearsed, then the slightest spark of something new can feel electrifying. Not because she doesn't love her husband, not because she's a bad person, but because she misses the thrill of feeling wanted. We are most alive when we are in love, but love is not just about being together. It's about being chosen again and again. Scott Fitzgerald. When a woman feels pursued, when she feels like she has power over a man's desire, it reminds her of a version of herself she thought was long gone. The younger version, the confident version, the one who felt effortlessly attractive. And so, even if she never intends to cross any lines, she might start walking closer to them, because in those fleeting moments, she feels alive again. Another overlooked reason why some married women become susceptible to external validation is social identity. Loss. Many women after marriage start to feel like they are no longer an individual. They are someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's caretaker. Their identity shifts from who I am to who I am to others. Before marriage, she was a mystery, an individual, someone with dreams, interests, passions. After marriage, she becomes defined by her roles. Wife, mom, supporter, the one who keeps things together. While these roles are beautiful, they can also become restrictive. If a woman no longer feels like her own person, she might start seeking out interactions that make her feel separate from her role. And sometimes, that interaction comes in the form of another man. 2. The justification game. The mind will always find a way to justify what the heart has already decided. Anonymous. No one wakes up one day and says, "I think I'll betray my marriage today." That's not how it works. When a married woman begins engaging in emotionally or physically risky behavior, it doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow, slippery process, one that is often justified in the deepest corners of her mind, long before it manifests in real life. Because the truth is, guilt is an unbearable weight. And if someone can convince themselves that what they're doing isn't really wrong, they no longer have to carry that weight. So how does this happen? How do married women rationalize crossing the line at first? Everything feels innocent. It's just a little attention. What's the harm? I'm just talking to him. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not like I'm cheating. I'm just enjoying the moment. The human brain is a master of self-deception. If something feels good, but goes against one's moral values, the brain creates excuses to bridge the gap. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, the tension that arises when our actions contradict our beliefs, and when that tension becomes too much to bear. The mind bends reality to protect itself. The easiest person to fool is yourself. Richard Feynman. So a woman who was once completely loyal starts playing mental games. She downplays her actions. It's just flirting. It's not like I'd actually do anything. She shifts the blame. If my husband paid more attention to me, I wouldn't need this. She compartmentalizes. This has nothing to do with my marriage. This is just something separate from me. But here's the kicker. The more she justifies, the further she'll go for many married women. The first betrayal isn't physical, it's emotional. This is what makes it so dangerous with physical cheating. The lines are clear. There's no gray area in kissing, sleeping with, or intimately touching another man. But an emotional affair, that's where things get blurry. Late-night texts, conversations that go deeper than they should, sharing personal struggles with another man instead of her husband. At first, she tells herself, it's just emotional. There's no harm in talking. But emotional intimacy is powerful when a woman shares her mind, her thoughts and her emotions with a man. She's already started detaching from her husband. Cheating isn't always a physical act the moment you start keeping secrets from your partner. You've already crossed the line unknown. And this is where the real danger lies, because when emotions are deeply involved, physical boundaries start to break down. The "I deserve this" justification. The last and most dangerous rationalization is the "I deserve this" mindset. At this stage, a woman no longer sees her actions as questionable in her mind. They are justified. I've sacrificed so much for this marriage. I deserve to feel good again. He's ignored me for years. If he doesn't care, why should I? I've been faithful for so long, and it's gotten me nowhere. What's the point? This is the point of no return at this stage. The emotional connection she's formed with another man feels more real than the marriage itself. Her mind has fully convinced her that stepping over the line isn't betrayal, it's justice. And once a person believes something is justified, nothing can stop them. The reason married women sometimes become the easiest prey isn't because they are weak-willed or immoral. It's because the human brain is wired to rationalize what feels good. It starts with small excuses, tiny justifications. But if left unchecked, those justifications turn into actions. And once the line is crossed, there's no going back. 3. The break-in point. The chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. Samuel Johnson, every story has a point of no return, a moment where there's no more just talking, no more innocent flirting, no more rationalizing the game is no longer a game. It becomes real. And the scary part, most women don't even realize when it happens, until it's too late. In psychology, there's a concept called threshold theory. It explains why people who swore they'd never do something eventually end up doing it. Because the hardest part isn't doing it. It's doing it the first time she sends a message. She knows she shouldn't send the first time she meets up with him. Just as friends, the first time she feels his hand linger a little too long, and she doesn't pull away. That's the moment where everything shifts, because after that first time, the second time is easier. What we do repeatedly, we become Aristotle. And before she knows it, what once felt forbidden starts to feel normal. Here's the biggest lie people tell themselves when they're on a dangerous path. I can stop whenever I want. But can they not really? Because once something triggers an emotional response, it becomes addictive. Neuroscientists have found that romantic and sexual attraction activate the same brain pathways as drug addiction. The dopamine rush of a new connection feels intoxicating, like a hit of something. She didn't even realize she was craving. So even if she tells herself this is the last time, she'll find a reason to go back. Because at this point, it's no longer about the other man. It's about the feeling she gets when she's with him. At first, lying feels unnatural. The first time she hides a message, the first time she makes an excuse, the first time she feels her heart race when her husband asks, "Who are you texting?" It feels wrong, but the human mind is terrifyingly adaptable. And after a while, the guilt turns into strategy. She gets better at covering her tracks. She compartmentalizes so well that she doesn't even feel guilty anymore. She starts believing her own lies, and this is where things spiral. Because the longer the secret exists, the harder it is to escape. She might tell herself, "I'll end it next week, next month soon." But weeks turn into months, and by the time she realizes she's trapped in her own web, it's too late. Here's the final shift that happens in a woman's mind when she's gone too far. She stops seeing her marriage as her primary relationship. Her husband becomes the other man. The real connection, the real passion, the real intimacy. It's happening elsewhere at this stage. Even if she hasn't physically crossed the line, her heart already belongs to someone else. And when that happens, there are only two ways the story ends. She gets caught. She eventually walks away from her marriage, unable to live a double life anymore. So why are some married women the easiest prey? Because they're not looking to cheat. They're looking to feel something they lost. And once they find it, walking away feels impossible. Not because they don't love their husbands, but because they've convinced themselves that what they've found is something they'll never get back at home. And once that belief settles in, nothing will ever be the same again. So if you understand this truth, you hold power. The power to see what others miss. The power to read between the lines. The power to recognize the silent signals before they turn into something irreversible. And with that knowledge, you'll never be blind to the game. And again, this is Stoic Guide. Until next time, take care, and see you in the next video.